The next segment, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is now what?
Mhm.
We have the grades of the team. Overall, we're looking at a C minus overall grade, I would say, if I put all the grades together. So we are below average team in the National Football League, which I think we could have said before we even put all those grades together.
Yeah.
So now what do we do? Let's start talking a little bit about how this team gets built up. And I don't know that we're going to go into super huge detail here, Josh, because we don't know what a lot of stuff still.
No, we're going to
Um,
mention some names. We're going to talk high level stuff. We will have shows
yeah.
dedicated to all of this content later on.
I like what you did here though with the notes because we're talking like type of
Yes. Yeah,
type
that,
of GM, type of coach, type of system. Like, so let's get into the GM first. For truthfully, I didn't know there was types of GM. So we're gonna. I'm kidding. We're gonna get into the GM first. Chris Greer is out already. Champ Kelly is the interim. Marvin Allen is still in the building in some sort of capacity, helping out with the GM role. So an external search is looming. I've seen some chitter and some chatter out there that there's been some interest that this is seen as a desirable position as a GM,
Mhm.
and uh, that there are a lot of people calling the
Tons.
Ross
Mhm.
and company.
Yep.
So to the chat before we get into it, what type of GM would you guys rather have? And here's the three options that we gave you. If there's another option you can think of, throw that in the chat. We're not trying to hamper you here. Would you rather have a draft nerd, a cap wizard, or a culture builder?
Mhm.
If you had to pick a GM today, would you rather have a draft nerd, a cap wizard, or a culture builder? Let us know in the chat. We're gonna get talking about some of these names here. Now that Chris Greer is out, Champ Kelly's in. We don't believe Champ Kelly's gonna get promoted to full-time GM. What are we looking at, Josh, in terms of options? There's a lot of people calling. I don't know what that means. Who's calling? What types of people do we even want calling? And why is this job desirable?
Yeah, I think this job is desirable because you have for as much as he is maligned, you have an owner that is willing to spend money, that is
Mm-hmm.
willing to, put his money where his mouth is. Arguments can be made that he doesn't know when to pull the ripcord because he's loyal, or some people say stupid or whatever. I don't know, ignorant, whatever.
Yeah, a billionaire
But
that's stupid. That'll be the day.
yeah, right. But this is a team with money, a shitload of money.
Yeah.
This is a team with a very good stadium in an amazing city, and has an amazing history. And I think for any of this, whatever the new GM is that is coming in to shepherd kind of the next phase of the Miami Dolphins history, is going to seemingly, from everything that we are hearing and reading between the lines and hearing in the media, and is going to get to completely direct the ship in and of itself by himself or
Mm-hmm.
herself, depending on who gets selected. And I think for a GM or an individual that is leaving something comfortable, something that is known, because a lot of these names have been with their organizations for quite some time. Um, they're not going to leave for just any job. They're not going to leave if they have to play nice in the sandbox, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And I think that is what the really good thing is. You're coming to a team where you get to rip it down to the studs, should you choose, you being the new GM, and you get to completely make decisions. You get to put your money where your mouth is, push all your chips into the center of the table, and let's see what happens. Let's see how good you are at your job. And when you're at that level rather, in an organization, that's what you want, because you've bet on yourself so much to get to where you are as an assistant GM, for example. In a lot of these cases, you get to finally make those decisions. And we asked you guys in the chat, draft nerd, cap wizard, culture builder. You have the draft. In my mind, there are really three types of GMs, and I don't mean to be very high level with this, because obviously there's some that have a little bit of each, and whatever the case is. But if you look at a lot of the GMs that are successful across the NFL, they're jack of all trades and all key things, but they excel at one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have the draft developmental guy, the guy like, and I hate to put his name in here, but Chris Greer, who was a scout for 37 years or whatever it was. And so you have to believe coming in that someone that's been a scout that was maybe there was one guy that Kyle Crabb was talking about, and I'm blanking on his name. I think it was the assistant GM or the player president of player personnel in Dallas, I think is who he was talking about, where he was head coach in arena football. He played football in college as a cornerback, I think it was, or a safety or something like that. He played in the NFL at that position for a short amount of time, became a scout, then went from scouting to player personnel, then analyzing draft rooms and helping build draft boards, and has just worked his way up and had his fingers in all the pots. But you have those draft development guys that focus and excel in identifying players in college to fit their scheme. You have the cap people and the trade operators like the Eagles. I'm blanking on his name. Howie Roseman, who seemingly every single year gets the person they need, trade or draft. You have the culture guy, right? The you're gonna have to help me here. I'm struggling with names. The Kansas City's coach,
Andy Reid.
Andy Reid. I consider Andy Reid a top culture coach. He knows how to get every ounce of talent out of his players. Now you wouldn't know given their 5-5 record, but hey, it is what it is. So those are kind of
had plenty of success to have a down year, I think.
Right, exactly. You look at Tomlin, for example.
Yeah.
Not someone that immediately comes to mind as a draft guy or a cap guy, but when you talk culture or when you talk toughness, Tomlin is at the top of everyone's list, and there's a reason for that.
But those are coaches.
Do what?
Those are coaches.
Right. Sorry. I kind of.
You went
I went
sideways.
off. I went off. Sorry. I got ahead of myself.
You're fine.
But anyways, you get the point.
Yeah.
And so some examples of names that are not linked per se, but that are worth a conversation. And if you could, I forgot to write him down. Could you look up the name of the Eagles, Howie's assistant GM? I'm blanking on his name. But in-house, it's Champ Kelly. I think Champ Kelly has changed what we are used to seeing in a GM. I know he's the interim GM, but we went from kind of a squirrely person in Chris Grier who was kind of hiding away up in the rafters, and you never really saw him on the sidelines, and you never saw him in any hype videos, and he was never in the locker room. He was just kind of the shadow up in the distance, making shitty fucking decisions for decades and not getting held accountable, to a guy in Champ Kelly who's kind of buttoned up from an appearance standpoint on the sidelines. He was dapping up players. I saw a video somebody put together online. I'm sorry, I can't call you out. I don't remember what your name was, but someone put something out on Reddit where it was a montage of sideline videos of Champ Kelly dabbing people up, chest bumping, high-fiving people after big plays. And this is the assistant GM, potentially a full-time GM either here or somewhere else. And then you have external guys like, Andy Weidel, the Steelers assistant GM, Terrence Gray, the Bills assistant GM, Joe Hortis, the Chargers GM from the GM tree. You have Howie's assistant, who I'm blanking on his name.
I put it in there. Hallaby.
Yeah, Hallaby, who's one of my favorite candidates, probably my number one candidate for the job right now. And those are the kind of, when I think about a GM, and I'm going on a huge rant here. Sorry, Anthony, for not giving you a chance to chat. But when I think of the next GM that I want for the Dolphins, I want somebody that's not necessarily, he doesn't have to come from a successful program from a record standpoint. But what I'm hoping for, I guess I shouldn't say what I want, but what I'm hoping for is a GM that comes in with a track record of working with successful front offices, because there's a huge difference. Just because your team, one of the assistant general managers that I have on my list is the assistant GM from Cleveland. Now, Cleveland has been a dumpster fire, but you look at some of their draft picks and some of the players that were drafted there and went to other teams and turned successful because they were good players, just in a bad position. Those are I'm not excluding anyone from my list, but I'm blanking on his name again.
I do not know Cleveland's.
No, the guy from the Eagles that you just said.
Hallaby.
Thank you. Hallaby is the ideal type of GM candidate for me.
Yeah. I want a wheeler and dealer. I want a guy who's confident and knows and can go into a room and just command respect, right? To command attention. I want the guy who people have a hard time saying no to.
Mhm.
I want that powerful salesman style person. And with that, I want that person to be able to build a strong team. To Abel's point in the chat here, I can't find it. If you can find it, throw it up there. I want a guy who can come in and build a strong team of scouts that he knows he can rely on. That he knows he doesn't have to go out and do all this film study himself because he's got 8 to 10 people under him that are doing a fantastic job of it, and he can rely on their scouting reports and he can listen to their scouting reports with great confidence. And that gives him the freedom to go out there and make those moves, right? The one thing I admire the most about Howie is that Howie's not afraid well, I'm at a 4 and you're at a 3. Okay, let's do the 3, right? He doesn't have to win every trade.
Mhm.
He doesn't care. He just wants to make his team better. And that's the guy I want. Like, that's the guy I'm looking for. The guy who will do what it takes to make the team better, even if it's paying up a little,
Mhm.
you know? And I don't know who that is. I don't know names, but I know the type of guy I want. And it's pretty much the exact opposite of Chris Greer.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
Lots of good stuff going on in the chat, by the way. Let me get
just
in
quickly
here.
read through it while you were going on your while you were talking about your preferred GM type.
And maybe anyone is better than Greer. Yeah, I mean that's true. A culture builder for Jorge.
Yep.
All right. I think we're gonna see that one a lot. Whoever comes in, even if they do one good move, we're gonna eat it up. Of course we are.
Oh, absolutely.
If we win a playoff game, could you imagine?
Like even if the new GM somehow figures out a way to trade Tua without us incurring $148 million in
Right.
the dead cap,
Yeah.
I will throw a parade for that guy.
That's the type of guy I want. I want a
Yeah.
guy who's gonna somehow convince Cleveland that Tua is the future for them.
No, I'm thinking someone that can convince Jacksonville to take Tua and trade us Trevor Lawrence.
Oh God, I don't like Lawrence isn't any better. See, there is no culture builder, please. Draft nerd and culture builder. So Abel picks 2. Yeah, I think the combo wombo is going to be a good one here.
Yeah, for sure.
We need better scouts. Yeah,
Mhm.
unless Greer's just not listening to the scouts. I mean, you've seen
Again.
stories like that quite a bit.
Mhm.
No surprise here that Taylor prefers the draft nerd.
Because he basically wants to hire himself.
I know what Josh meant. I was just reminding him that he was naming coaches after he named
sorry.
2
I
of
went
them.
on a completely different route.
Gator likes the assistant GM from the Bucks.
That is so much so, yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
Bucks have done a good job. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know a ton about Agnew, but I've definitely heard his name thrown out there in circles at this point.
Well,
so
look at what that team has done.
yeah,
That is kind of, I mean, that is in a perfect scenario the type of team culture player acquirer that you would get. Yep, Mike Greenberg. Yeah, he's another name that is consistently in. Yep.
like the ESPN analyst.
No, it's another one. I say it every time. I'm like,
like more than anything, I just want somebody who's confident in his or her abilities to come into a room and be able to make stuff happen. Yep. We talked about that a little bit about our show. Like yesterday, or Monday, you and I had a powwow after the show. Like, to me on the show, my big thing is always coming to you with an answer to a question, even if you throw me off, or even if the chat throws me off, or like it's more entertaining to always have an answer. And from a GM perspective, it's not about entertainment; it's about professionalism. And it's always, I want to see a GM who comes in with a plan, and that plan is known. Hey guys, hey Dolphins fans, I'm here. This is my plan. This is how I'm going to do it. This is my 10 steps to get there. This is exactly how I'm going to build this team, right? And because I haven't felt like there's been a plan on this team in so long. Hit the like button, hit subscribe button. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of November, by the way. So if you like what you hear, or if you like just interacting with us, really appreciate that, because we love interacting with you. Hit the like button, hit subscribe button. We're at 94 subs, I believe Jorge said. So we're 6 away from getting to our goal of 100 subs. Well, actually, our challenge, our chat challenge, of 100 subs by the end of November. So really appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed yet, it's free. Hit the subscribe button.
And again, I'm going to plug it. Sorry, Anthony. I know I do it a lot.
That's okay.
If we reach our 100 by the November, by the end of this month, we'll be picking somebody at random and sending out Dolphins piece of Dolphin swag and some show swag. And if we hit our stretch milestone, which is February 14th or 11th or 12th or sometime in February of 150, Dolphins jersey will be sent out to one of our lucky subscribers.